The annual Thompson family reunion was held at the Lakeside Country Club, the same one my family had been members of for 30 years. I hadn't been to one in 5 years, not since I'd stopped trying to prove myself to people who had already decided I wasn't worth their time. But this year was different. This year, I had a reason to attend. I walked through the entrance in a simple black dress and flats, carrying my leather briefcase. The outdoor pavilion was decorated with banners and balloons, and the tables were laden with catered food. About 60 people milled around, aunts, uncles, cousins, and their families. My brother David spotted me first. His face shifted from surprise to discomfort. "Ava, I didn't think you'd come." "Got the invitation. Thought I'd stop by." I smiled pleasantly. Before David could respond, his wife Jennifer appeared, her face already twisted in disgust. She was wearing designer everything: dress, shoes, jewelry, all of it screaming, "Look at me." "What are you doing here?" Jennifer's voice carried across the pavilion, drawing attention. "Nobody wants you here. Seriously, just get lost." The conversation around us died. 60 pairs of eyes turned to watch. "Hello, Jennifer. Nice to see you too." I kept my voice calm. "Don't nice to see you me. You know you're not welcome." She turned to address the crowd. "Can you believe this? Shows up after 5 years like she belongs here." "It's a family reunion," I pointed out. "I'm family." "Family doesn't abandon everyone for 5 years." Jennifer crossed her arms. "Family doesn't act like they're too good for everyone else." My Uncle Richard laughed from his table. "She's got a point, Ava. You disappeared. Can't blame people for moving on without you." "Without even a phone call," my Aunt Susan added. "Very rude." I could have pointed out that my phone worked both ways, that I'd sent party cards for 3 years before giving up, that not once had any of them reached out to ask why I'd distanced myself. But I didn't. "You're right," I said instead. "I have been distant. I apologize for that." Jennifer blinked, clearly not expecting agreement. Then her mean smile returned. "Well, it's too late now. We're all doing great without you." David got promoted to VP at Morrison Tech. We just bought a new house. 4,000 square feet. We're doing amazing. I'm happy for you both. Meanwhile, what have you been doing? Still working that little administrative job? Jennifer's voice dripped with false sympathy. Still living in that tiny apartment? Several people chuckled. I saw my cousin Amanda whispering to her husband, both smirking. "Actually," I said, "I've made some career changes." "Oh, let me guess. You're a manager now." Jennifer laughed. "How impressive. David makes $180,000 a year as VP. What are you making?" 50, 60. Something like that. See? Jennifer turned to the crowd. "This is what happens when you don't apply yourself. When you settle for mediocrity. No ambition, no drive, no success." "Jennifer, maybe we should." David tried to interrupt. "No, I think everyone needs to hear this. Ava used to act like she was better than all of us. Too smart, too good for the family business. And where did it get her? Nowhere. While we're all thriving, she's working a dead-end job and living paycheck to paycheck." "How do you know I'm living paycheck to paycheck?" I asked curiously. "Because you're wearing a dress from Target and carrying a briefcase that's seen better days. Because you drove up in a 5-year-old Honda. Because everything about you screams struggling." I looked down at my outfit. She wasn't wrong. The dress was from Target. The briefcase was old, a gift for my college graduation. And yes, my car was a 2019 Honda Civic. "Appearances can be deceiving," I said. "Oh please, don't give me some inspirational poster quote. You're a loser, Ava. Always have been, always will be. And honestly, nobody wants you here. You're bringing down the mood. So why don't you just leave?" The pavilion was silent. Everyone was watching, waiting for me to either fight back or slink away in humiliation. I did neither. Instead, I set my briefcase on the nearest table and opened it. "You're right about something, Jennifer. I have been quiet about my career. I don't like to brag." I pulled out a folder. "But since you've made such a public issue of it, I think it's time to clear a few things up." "What are you doing?" David asked, his voice nervous. I opened the folder and pulled out the first document. "This is a press release that went out this morning. You might not have seen it yet. Morrison Technologies, the company where David works, has been acquired by Pinnacle Investment Group." "So," Jennifer said, "what does that have to do with anything?" "Pinnacle Investment Group is my company." I let that sink in. "I founded it 7 years ago. We specialize in acquiring mid-sized tech companies, restructuring them, and improving efficiency. The silence was absolute. You're lying, Jennifer said, but her voice wavered. I pulled out another document. This is the acquisition contract signed yesterday. We paid $127 million for Morrison Technologies. The deal closed at 5 p.m. yesterday. David grabbed the paper, his hands shaking. His face went white as he read. That means, I continued, I now own the company where David works. Where several of you work, actually. I looked around. Uncle Richard, you're in sales there. Cousin Tom, you're in aita. Aunt Susan's husband Greg is in accounting. This is a joke, Jennifer insisted, but she was losing confidence. This is the corporate structure. I pulled out another page. I'm the majority shareholder and CEO of Pinnacle Investment Group. We have a portfolio of 17 companies with a combined value of $890 million. This acquisition brings it to just over $1 billion. I turned to David. I've been reviewing personnel files all week. You were promoted to VP 3 months ago. Congratulations. Unfortunately, the VP of sales position is redundant in our organizational structure. That role will be eliminated during the restructuring. You're firing me? David's voice cracked. Not firing, making your position redundant. You'll receive a generous severance package, 6 months' salary. Standard for executive-level restructuring. You can't do this, Jennifer shrieked. This is revenge. This is illegal. It's neither. It's business. Morrison Tech was losing money, bad management, bloated staff, poor strategic decisions. We're fixing that. Unfortunately, that means some positions won't survive the restructuring. I pulled out a list. These are the positions being eliminated. VP of Sales, 3 sales managers, 2 IT specialists, and 1 accounting supervisor. I looked at my family members. Uncle Richard, Tom, Greg, you're on this list. You'll each receive severance based on your tenure. Uncle Richard, who'd been laughing at me 20 minutes ago, now looked like he might be sick. Why are you doing this? David asked quietly. To hurt me? I'm doing this because Morrison Tech was a good investment opportunity. The acquisition had been in the works for 6 months, long before I decided to come to this reunion. I paused. Though I'll admit the timing worked out. This is because we weren't nice to you, Aunt Susan accused. You're punishing us for what? For ignoring me? For excluding me? For 5 years of making it clear I wasn't welcome unless I met your standards? I shook my head. No, I'm not that petty. This is business. You all just happened to work for a company that needed better management. But David's position, Jennifer started, is redundant. We already have a VP of sales at Pinnacle who'll oversee Morrison's sales division. David's role was created by the previous CEO to justify a salary increase. It doesn't actually contribute to the company's success. I pulled out another document. However, David, there is another option. We have an opening for a senior sales associate. It's not VP level. It's the position you had before your promotion. The salary is $95,000, about half of what you're making now. But it's a real job with real responsibilities. If you're interested, you can apply. Apply? David repeated. For my old job? It's not your job anymore. But you can apply for the equivalent position in the new structure. Whether you get it depends on your qualifications and interview. Jennifer's face was red with rage. You smug bitch. You think you're so superior? No, Jennifer. I don't think I'm superior. I think I'm successful. There's a difference. I started gathering my documents. I came here today to give you all the courtesy heads up. The official announcements go out Monday morning. I wanted to tell you in person, as family, before you heard it through company channels. Bullshit, Jennifer spat. You came here to humiliate us. I came here because I was invited to a family reunion. You're the one who chose to make a scene. I closed my briefcase. Everything I've done today is standard business practice. The restructuring would have happened whether I came to this reunion or not. I just thought it would be better coming from me first. You expect us to believe that? Uncle Richard stood up, his face flushed. You show up here, get insulted, and suddenly you're restructuring the company? That's not coincidence. You're right. It's not coincidence. The acquisition was planned for months. Me coming here today was planned for 1 week, after I knew the deal was closing but before the announcements went public. I looked at him directly. I came to give you time to prepare, to update your resumes, to line up new opportunities before the news breaks. That's more warning than Morrison Tech's previous owners gave anyone. How generous, he said sarcastically. It is, actually. I could have let you find out Monday morning with everyone else. I could have sent the termination notices by email. Instead, I came here in person to tell you face to face, because despite everything, you're still family. Some family, Aunt Susan muttered. Yes, some family. The family that excluded me from gatherings. That laughed when Jennifer called me a loser. That never once asked why I stopped coming around or if I was okay. I picked up my briefcase. I built a company worth $1 billion and none of you knew because none of you asked. You were too busy assuming I was a failure. We didn't know, David started. Because I didn't tell you. Because I was tired of trying to prove myself to people who'd already decided I wasn't worth their time. I stopped coming to reunions because every year was the same. Jennifer making snide comments, everyone comparing salaries and houses, nobody actually caring about each other. Just performance and judgment. I looked around at all of them. I'm successful now, very successful. But I was successful 5 years ago too, when I stopped coming. I just stopped caring whether you knew about it. Then why tell us now? Amanda asked. Because you deserve to know that your jobs are ending. Because despite everything, I didn't want you blindsided. I paused. And maybe a small part of me wanted you to know that the loser you all dismissed is now your boss. That's petty, Jennifer said. Probably. I'm human. I headed for the exit, then turned back. David, that senior sales position is a real offer. You're good at sales. You just got promoted beyond your competence level. If you want to apply, send your resume to HR Monday morning. I've instructed them to review it fairly. No favoritism, but no prejudice either. And if I don't get the job? Then you don't get it. Take the severance, find something else. You'll be fine. You're talented when you're doing actual work instead of playing VP. I started walking again. Ava, wait. It was my father's voice. He'd been silent through the entire confrontation, sitting at a back table. Is this really necessary? The acquisition? Yes. Morrison Tech needed new ownership. The restructuring? Also yes. The company was overstaffed with inflated salaries. These changes would happen regardless of who bought it. But you bought it. I did, because it was a good investment. Because I saw potential the previous owners missed. Because that's what I do. I find struggling companies and fix them. And it had nothing to do with David working there. I thought about lying, about maintaining the fiction that this was purely business. I didn't know David worked there when we started the acquisition process, I said honestly. We identified Morrison Tech as a target 8 months ago, based on financials and market position. I didn't review the employee roster until last month. When I saw David's name, I could have backed out. I could have assigned this acquisition to one of my partners. But I didn't. Why not? Because it was a good deal. Because my personal feelings don't override good business decisions. And maybe because I was curious what would happen if I actually showed up here with leverage instead of just trying to blend in. My father stood up and walked over to me. He looked older than I remembered, grayer, more tired. I'm sorry, he said quietly, for not standing up for you, for letting them make you feel unwelcome. You're my daughter and I should have done better. Something in my chest tightened. Yeah, you should have. Can we start over? Can I take you to lunch sometime? Just us. No Jennifer, no judgment. Just a father and his daughter talking. I studied his face, looking for sincerity. I found it mixed with regret and something that might have been shame. Maybe, I said. Call me next week. We'll see. I will. He paused. I'm proud of you. I should have said that years ago. Yes, you should have. I adjusted my briefcase. But thank you for saying it now. I left the reunion and drove back to my real life, my penthouse apartment, my corner office, my company that I built from nothing while my family dismissed me as a failure. Monday morning, the restructuring announcements went out. David, Uncle Richard, Tom, and Greg all received their termination notices. Jennifer called me 17 times. I didn't answer. David sent me his resume for the senior sales position. I forwarded it to HR with instructions to treat it like any other application. He interviewed, and they hired him. He really was good at sales when he wasn't trying to be an executive. Uncle Richard found a job at a competitor within 3 weeks. Tom went into consulting. Greg took early retirement. And Jennifer? She posted on Facebook about family betrayal and successful people who forget where they came from. I blocked her. My father did call. We had lunch. It was awkward but honest. He apologized again. I accepted, cautiously. We agreed to monthly dinners, just us, rebuilding something that had been broken for too long. Morrison Technologies, under Pinnacle's management, increased revenue by 34% in 6 months. The restructuring worked. The company was healthier, more efficient, and more profitable. I never went to another family reunion. But I did send cards, and this year, I included a photo of myself in my office with a caption, "Wishing you all a successful year. Ava." Because I wasn't a loser. I never had been. They'd just been too busy judging to notice.